make discussions about money and a financial plan part of your rhythm as a couple. Don't dread it. Don't fight about it. Don't allow it to become a statistic. Like, be committed that you're not going to add to the statistic where like money's a top stressor for us.
Yeah.
Money's the source of all of our conflict. Money's the likely source of why we're going to get divorced. Get rid of that mindset
Yeah.
and instead view it as like, no, we're going to work through our challenges together. We're going to come out better on the other side. Hey, thanks for checking out the episode this week. We are back to talk about a topic we haven't really gotten into yet in any episode yet, which is
Yeah, I don't think so.
money, right? We're going to talk a little bit
Fun.
about, mo money, mo problems, or no money, mo problems.
I think both are true.
But seriously, I think this is a top cause for divorce, right? Or one of the top causes for divorce. It's a top stressor in marriage. If you need any proof of what I'm saying, like that this is a stressor in people's lives, but in marriage, between 60 and 70% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. These statistics are only marginally better between households of $100,000 and more because of lifestyle creep, right? So even the point in lifestyle creep, if you're not familiar, is basically your spending increases as you earn more. We're going to get into that a little bit. Pretty bleak with Gen Z are fitting this demographic already, even at their young age. And there's a whole host of reasons for that. And I think there was another statistic I saw, and these are all referenced in economy newsletters, economic blogs, journals, etc. But even that 95% of people do not have $1,000 of like emergency fund or savings put away. So it's and that's in a country as prosperous as America.
So basically, when something goes wrong, you're in a lot of trouble. I mean, that keeps people up at night.
Right.
Probably a lot of people. And one funny thing that at church, our pastor showed this video of this guy interviewing people on vacation at Disney World. And some of them mentioned that they were financing their vacation to Disney World. They could not even afford to be there. They were going to pay monthly payments on a Disney World credit card. Hopefully in time, so they weren't charged the crazy interest rate. But that's not even guaranteed. Anyways.
No, I did level set immediately. Like, we're not going to talk about personal financing and budgeting on this podcast. So hang with us. If you're already like starting to check out because you're not interested, please hang in there with us. The point we're making is that those statistics alone, it's influencing your marriage, whether you like it or not. Your finances are, right? Like the way your mindset about money, how you spend money, how you save money, how you invest money, how you give money away, what your spouse's answers are to all those questions. Like, those are humongous things that impact people's marriages. So what we're going to get into today is that,
and I think even people think of the conflict. Like, you might be spending money that you don't even make yet. Maybe you bought a house with the hope you're going to get a promotion. And now the stress and anxiety and conflict that you probably have with your partner, I think this happens all the time.
Very common.
We'll spend this money because I think I'm going to get that bonus. What happens? You don't get the bonus. Like, people live like this.
Well, and then I think to your point, you bring up a good point. So we've already acknowledged it's one of the top stressors in marriage, one of the leading causes of divorce. I would say it's probably the source of a lot of fights and conflict, back to the point you were just making. Like, this is a big deal. And fortunately, I think it does get talked about a lot, whether in Christian circles or even in sort of like just financial advice, right? Like, there's plenty of resources out there, but it's really going to take, the two of you as partners. So I think we've acknowledged, like, it's one of the top causes for divorce. It's one of the number one stressors in marriage. I think on the flip side, couples with shared financial goals, and I don't have a statistic to share about this, but couples with shared financial goals are more likely to be satisfied and have success in this part of their marriage. And so I think what we're going to do today is we're going to tackle it from a stressful conflict point of view, but also like shining a light on the positive, where like when you're unified on the way you manage your money, I mean, it is incredibly powerful.
And something I want to point out, just as far as our perspective, we do not believe that one partner should be in control of the finances and dictating to the other partner. I don't think that's a good idea at all. I think there's actually research that shows how negative that is. Unified, joining together, deciding together, making financial plans as a couple, as a partnership, as a team.
Well, yeah, maybe pause on that quick. What you're talking about, for the record, for those that are listening here, you're not talking about like who manages the money and pays the bills and uses the
No.
logins. What you're talking about is your mindset and your approach to like where the money's going, how it's being used.
And to that point of who pays the bill, I think that's who's skilled in that area.
Right.
And that could just go toward whichever person is more skilled in that area. And just agree on that. And but both partners should have the ability to go and look at finances at any time. They should each have all the logins, and be able to see what's there and what's going out, what's coming in. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and to that matter, I just I'll plug this quote in here. Show me a man's budget and I'll show you his priorities. I've heard that before. Show me someone's budget and I'll show you their priorities. Like, that is so true. I think there's a lot of danger, and let's talk for a minute about culture, right? So the cultural view on this, I would say, as a Christian, is like very fragmented and fractured from what, as Christians in a God-honoring marriage, or at least aspiring to be a God-honoring marriage, culture would say, like, what's mine is mine. If one of you makes $500,000 a year and the other one makes $50,000 a year, well, the person making $500,000 should have more autonomy to do, right? Like, this is what culture teaches us, is that you don't blend the money together. You got your thing, he's got his.
And let me say this is our opinion. We believe that your finances should be combined. Not everybody's going to agree with us. This is just our perspective and what we believe is the way to do it. You don't have to agree with us, but I mean, that's kind of our opinion. I think scripture, although it doesn't say, this is where it's hard as Christians, because God's word doesn't say, and there's not a verse you can find that says, make sure you combine your finances, but it says you become one flesh. Okay. The goal of marriage is that you're unified till the end. There's no thought that we can just break it off if we want. There are good reasons for that. But so that's not our point here, but financially you should become one. That's our stance and our opinion.
I gotta make a comment there, because I think you're kind of being a little too nice. I know you're saying it's our opinion, but I would very, very, very strongly, and if you disagree, I think you said it fair, like, that's fine, but I would very strongly disagree that this is like an optional thing. To me, you're sharing every other aspect of your life, your intimacy, your communication, your home, your kids, your health. You made this covenant to one another, that you're going to work through things in sickness and in health and all those things. Why would you think, to challenge the listeners, why would you think that doesn't include your finances?
He's got a good point.
So I think, I do think that's really important. But, and going back to culture, I think to your point, spend what you don't have, extend yourself as much as possible, go into debt, buy things you don't need. Don't be too generous. Leave that to other people. Leave that to the billionaire philanthropists. Like, we don't have to give to anybody. Like, these are the things that are really being pushed on not just young adults, but on our culture.
And I think even don't plan for the future.
Right.
And I think you shared something with me, or a point that was really crazy with, like, social media shows you the spending without showing any of the debt or stress that comes with it. Of course, there's going to be really wealthy people on there who can easily afford what they're doing, but there's also a lot who can't.
Right.
And they don't show that part.
Yeah.
And that just traps people. That goes back to, like, our episode on the comparison trap. I think we touched a little bit on that, like comparing and wanting to have what everyone else has and do what everyone else does. Well, if you can't afford it, that's really foolish.
Yeah.
That's not wise. Wisdom in our finances it's key to a less stressful life and a more peaceful marriage too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I agree completely. And I think, it's so situation dependent. Like you were saying, there have been times, and to be real raw here, like, there was a time early in our marriage when we went down to one income. This was before we had kids. I was trying to start a business.
It was my income.
Jamie's income was not very high either, for the record. So it was stressful. No, like, we can 100% relate to, like, being really, really, really pinched, and then to get pregnant kind of in that same situation. Like, things were really stressful for us.
And then eventually I quit that job because I was going to school full time with a newborn.
Right.
to become a therapist. So that was
Right.
crazy. Financially, I mean, that was
Hard.
like the lowest low for us, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. We were very, very strapped for sure. Like, I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. I think what I would quick plug here, we talked about it, first of all, regularly. And we were committed to having a get well plan, for lack of
Yeah.
better words.
Yep.
And number two, like, we even not only, hey, how can we get out of this situation, but let's think long term. And we're going to spend a lot of time on this. What does the long term financial success look like? And I'm not going to say, I mean, it's been a while ago now, but I'm not going to say we didn't have our low points and our moments where we felt pretty beat down and discouraged. However, we had like this resolute mentality that no, we're going to be disciplined. We're going to give glory to God for what we do have. We're going to pray and seek his face on how we resolve this situation. And we're going to work hard to get out of this situation. And so I think the point I would make is,
and using wise decisions that we came to
For
together
sure.
was how we were able, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of the money situation that doesn't always get talked about maybe quite as much is, you know, what's the upside? Like, don't just talk about getting out of debt, just getting out of debt. How much content, just like, not disrespecting anybody who that's like their business and their mission is to help people get out of debt. But well, then what? Like, where's here's the big dreams we have with our money. Here's how we want to be generous. Here's where we want to spend it, save it, invest it. Like, I think there's so much here that can be unifying as a couple. And like, let's talk about this for a few minutes. I definitely want your input here. Is money to me is like the tip of the iceberg. I would argue the issue is not money. Like, people that get divorced and they claim like, oh, money or stress because of money, that is the tip of the iceberg. And what I mean by that is the underlying issues beneath the money topic could be career insecurity. It could be gender role identities, right? I think that's a huge one, especially in the era that we're walking in. It could be home responsibilities, including parenting, obviously, share of parenting. There could be some entitlement mixed in there. It could be like dramatic differences of upbringing, right?
Yeah.
One of you comes from a wealthy family, one of you, like, you didn't have anything growing up. There's just more to it. It's not about just, oh, we couldn't figure out the money topic. No, there's broader things going on.
It's a deeper issue.
Yeah.
It could be like self-control even.
Yeah.
Like a lack of wisdom. It could be materialism. One partner is constantly needing everything and the other one gives in, and then you're in a bad spot, and now there's resentment toward the partner who wants to have all the newest, latest things.
Right.
Like, you're right. There's a deeper stuff going on here. Well, when you say like gender roles, career insecurity, tell me more about that. What's your thought process?
I mean, I think, and we should double click on this on an episode, but I think a lot of the fights that are cited as maybe money related it could really be you and your partner don't agree on which one of you is going to step back a little bit in your career to help with the kids. Like, I do think those are conversations that are happening more now than ever.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get into like too much our opinion on that in the moment, but I think that's not a money problem. And the one example that's coming to my mind, just a funny little side note here, is Ravi Sethi's Netflix show that we watched. Do you remember that? And it was couples that were having marriage issues about finances. It was crazy to see how people would fight.
Yeah.
And it was not about money. It was about, no, one of you makes more money. One of you wants the other one to stop working. Like that extreme example.
There was one couple where the wife was pulling in like $300K, and the husband had been like an engineer. I'm remembering all of this.
Yeah.
And he stayed home with the child, and then he wanted to get back into work a little bit, but she wanted him to stay home so they didn't have to put their daughter in. But then this lady was like giving him an allowance, and like it was her money.
Abusive,
she wanted her Tesla and all her house and her stuff, but she would like give him this tiny little allotment of funds.
Stipend.
That's abusive.
Yeah.
Like, that's funny. So yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, I just think like that's the point. There's a lot more that you have to unpack, and a lot more as a couple if you're talking about, hey, is money an issue? How much of it is actually about your spending and your budget versus your career identity, your share of household duties. your share of the budget if that's the way that you all manage your money, which we made our point clear earlier. Maybe just to move us on, like to shift then into a position of strength and unity, because we want to make it very clear that that is our position, is like you join your incomes together, regardless of who makes more, regardless of if you're both working, you join your incomes together. You have a shared vision and dream of what you want to accomplish with your money.
Yeah. Well, let me just backtrack a little. I think the first step here is understanding, okay, what the heck are we spending and what are we spending it on?
Budgeting, yeah, I agree.
So you got to sit
good
down,
point.
and some people avoid this because it's a really scary thing to do, but you got to look at what do you spend each month and what are you spending it on? And is it something you're able to do to maintain while still, and we'll get to generosity, while still being generous and still being wise? And if not, you have to break down, okay, what needs to change here? What do we need to do differently? And that might even require getting like a financial planner. Like you might have to do that if neither of you is really skilled or able to figure this out together. That's okay. It's okay if you need to get some help, like a third party to help you. So just self-awareness. What exactly are we spending? How much debt do we have? Sometimes it takes like, you got to look at your debt to open your eyes to be like, okay, hold on. This is bad. If that lack of awareness, it's like ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
Only it's not, because it's coming to get you at some point.
Yeah.
Yep. It's like,
no, I agree completely.
Number one.
And we have done, just to not a brag at all, but we have done all of those things. Like we have looked at it on a spreadsheet. I mean, we've got it updated probably every year, or as things change, we kind of will update our budget, but it doesn't matter. I think the point you're making, like it doesn't matter whether you use an app, whether you use a created spreadsheet online, whether you consult with someone else, whether you do one of these, financial debt management programs. Like there's so many tools out there for you to be successful in your finances. I love what you're saying, because I think awareness, starting there and looking at it together as a couple, not pretending it doesn't exist, that is the first step in really getting financially free. I would also say, for us personally, and I think every marriage is different, but I always find myself like, there is absolutely relief that comes when you are not worried about your finances.
Oh, yeah.
And there's there's kind of this concept of like, oh, it's no big deal, it's just money. And you hear people talk about like, you shouldn't really find your happiness. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying we find our happiness there, but from when we were in the situation we described earlier to where we were later on a little bit in our career and our finances, it's night and day to not have that added stress of like worrying when you're going to get paid and when the bills are going to come out. And so that's, we have aspirations beyond that, but I do think like at a starting point, it's like that should be your goal, is to get to that point where your money, your finances don't keep you awake at night. Your finances aren't stressing you out. And it's the job of both of you to talk about that together.
And you might be in a position where it's like, okay, we can't do any better. Inflation and it's all, just look at it closely, comb through it, because I'm going to guess you probably could do better with your spending. And then if it's like, well, hey, we're doing as good as we can, but we just don't bring in enough income, well, then your goal should be, what do we need to change so that we bring in enough income, we can take care of our family?
Right.
Because that is a reality for a lot of people too, sadly. So like, what are extra things you could do? I just saw a clip from somebody, I don't know who she was, but talking about ideas on ways to make extra money. It was really cool. It's like random stuff like dog walking, doing people's laundry. Like the sad reality of our world today is that people will pay for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of opportunity now that there wasn't before.
Yeah.
To make money.
Said.
This might be a temporary thing, but it's like, hey, for a little while, I'm going to have to do a dog walking thing, or I'm going to have to, or babysit people's pets, or do laundry. That blew my mind, but I guess that's a real thing. But you might have to do something if you're in that position while you look for something more sustainable. Because that might not be a like, oh, this is going to get me where I need to go, but it might be a temporary relief.
Yeah.
Or you know what? Maybe you're house poor. And the wise thing to do is sell that house and get a cheaper house, because you physically can't afford your monthly expenses.
You gotta have
these
a plan.
are things that have to happen. Yeah.
You got to have a plan. You have to have a plan beyond just the near future.
Well, let me say something too. I remember getting annoyed with you a little bit when
it was a lot.
This isn't news to him. He knows though. When we were moving out of a townhouse because we were having another baby and we needed a little more space. We were looking for a house, and I felt like we could spend more. Even the guy at the bank was like, "Oh, you could get a way bigger mortgage than what
Mm-hmm.
you're planning for." And I would have probably done that, but you were like, "That's just not wise. We want
Mm-hmm.
to just what are we comfortable? It's not like you want to extend yourself to the full
Mm-hmm.
max that you can spend." So now when I think back, I'm like, oh, I'm glad that we didn't do that because then we had other things that we were able to do financially and
Right.
stay out of debt and have more experiences with our kids and
Yeah.
trips and send them to a certain school.
Mm-hmm.
Had we just gotten the max amount on our mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
there are things that are important to us that
Mm-hmm.
we would not be able to
Mm-hmm.
do.
Yeah. No, you're right. There's like the worldview, like what's your worldview, each
Mm,
of you, about your finances, right? I think
mm-hmm.
upbringing plays a role in that. I think spending habits play a role in that. There's people that make millions of dollars a year and they just don't care about stuff. Like, and then there's
Yeah.
similarly people that don't make $1 million a year, but they like to live like a millionaire-esque lifestyle. So I think you
Mm-hmm.
can just have such disparity on this topic. That's why it is
Mm-hmm.
so personal and that's why
Yeah,
it
that's so
causes so much
true.
stress in a marriage. Just unpacking a few things we've
Mm-hmm.
talked about so far. It's budgeting. Like you got to have a budget. No matter how much money you make, you have to have a budget. You
Mm-hmm.
have to have a
Mm-hmm.
plan to get out of debt, especially high interest debt.
Yeah.
We won't get into too much of our personal opinion around like student loans and nitpick everything like that, but especially high interest debt that will cripple you. You got to get out of that. And then I think to the point you're making, like longer term, having a financial plan, and I don't mean that in the numbers sense. I mean
Mm-hmm.
that in terms of like what is your vision? Where do you all want to be as a
Mm-hmm.
couple and as a
Mm-hmm.
family? What experiences do you want to have? How do you want to be radically generous? That's such a fun part. Like we've really enjoyed that over the years, like
Mm-hmm.
looking at the various financial stages that we've come through. It's been something fun that we've been able to like plan
Yeah.
and work on together and do fun things that are
Mm-hmm.
associated with that or be radically generous. Like how
Mm-hmm.
much fulfillment have we gotten from that?
Well, and just to
So,
be a little bit vulnerable for a second, I am a little bit more on the side of like impulsive
mhm,
and like, oh, I want that, I'm gonna get it. It's kind of a mind, like I'm just being honest. That's a struggle
mhm,
I've had to balance. And so letting you balance me out in that you help me and I help you also, because
mhm,
sometimes it's like too calculated. Like, oh, I
mhm,
don't want to do that. It's too much. Well, this
mhm,
is a great experience and we can do it and we should. And you're like, fine, you're right. And then
mhm.
we have a great time.
It's
It's
a
like, I'm glad
discussion.
we
That's a
did
good
that.
point.
So
Yep.
you got to give and take.
Mhm,
And then even on the other side of it, if you're super materialistic or you really want stuff that you really shouldn't be buying, pray, God, I need help because I feel like I have a problem with
yeah,
materialism. Break free of that. Ask
yeah,
him for help. Or if you're on the other like extreme side, like I'm cheap and frugal and their family's suffocating. They don't do
right,
anything meaningful. They have
right,
no good experiences because of this like you hold so tight to money that you can't enjoy life at
right,
all
right.
because you're it's like that guy with the storehouse. He's storing it all up and then he
Mhm,
dies
mhm,
and he doesn't enjoy any of
right,
it. So like
right.
that's not what God would say either.
Yep.
So there
Well
is like
said.
a balance of those two sides. You have
Yeah.
to work through like tell God, "Hey, I can't do anything fun or enjoy what you've given me because I'm so obsessed and afraid
Mm,
of spending a dime. Help. I need
mhm.
help with this. It's not okay for me or my family." And that keeps you from being generous too.
It does. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe even just since you mentioned like pulling God into this, like obviously that's not an intentional like left out. Like that is absolutely a critical part of
mhm.
this is praying even through your financial situation if you're in difficulty. I mean, how many miraculous stories, by the way, have we heard even at church recently where people have a need and they pray and they really like come before
Mhm.
the Lord about it and
Yeah.
miraculous things happen with other
Mhm.
people's generosity. One point that I was going to
Love
make
that.
is there's over 2,000 verses in the Bible about money.
Mm.
And a lot of them are written from the point of being generous. I think like one verse we reflected on that I've talked about our finances, whether
Mhm.
it's generosity or whatever. And maybe this is a challenge for you all that are getting your finances established. Psalm 62:10. Love
Mm.
this verse. As riches
Mhm.
increase, do not set your heart upon them.
That's so good.
And the concept is, I mean, pretty self-explanatory, but
Mm.
like don't let that be the driving
Mm.
force in your life is your
Mhm.
monetary goals, even if they're pure in heart. Like as your riches increase, don't set your heart upon them. And I think we have
Mhm.
tried, and maybe to challenge some of
Mm.
you listening, put your money to good use.
Yeah.
Make sure you and your spouse are aligned. Make sure you're being generous. Make sure, going back to where we started, like that lifestyle creep, like, oh, well, we make more, let's swap our cars, let's buy a bigger house, more. This mindset will keep you trapped. And
and that just adds more stress, more conflict, more pain.
Right.
I feel like that verse in Psalms really pairs well with the whole, the love of money is the root of all evil. When you love something, your heart is set on it.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to love our money too much. We want to use it in a way of like, God, how should I use this income that you've given us? Why did you bless me? What do you want me to do with it? There's a verse that says, he who steals, steal no longer, but work so that you may give to those in need. I love that verse.
That's
so
good.
Obviously it's pointing out people who are stealing before, but it's like working so that you can do something meaningful for the kingdom.
Right.
Not just take care of yourself.
Right.
Like, that's a very challenging thing to me. So how can we be generous? And that might mean sacrifices. You have to make sacrifices in your own life.
Yeah.
But God's word is so clear on like giving with a cheerful heart.
Yeah.
Being generous with what you have and helping those in need.
Yep.
Just one passage that we love in 2 Corinthians, it says, whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. Each one must give as they have decided in their heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. So I think that is super clear, that sow sparingly, you reap sparingly. And I don't think it's just give because you want to get a whole bunch of stuff back. But I think of Jesus, his own words, it is more blessed to give than to receive.
Yeah.
Like the joy and the excitement and the positive like feelings that you get from giving to others, that's a way that you reap bountifully. You know, like and then being able to share that with your children, making them that feeling is so beautiful when you get to use the resources God gave you to help serve someone else. It's like there's such a great thing.
Totally. A couple things come to mind exactly what you're saying. One is the joy part of it. We have been, going back to those early years, we have been the benefactor of people's generosity, getting $1,000 check, getting help with a bill, whatever. As hard as that was to accept, because I can very clearly remember like how we both felt during those times. Like it was hard to take people's generosity. But then the joy of like, innumerable times of our marriage then where we've been able to do that for others. And the joy that comes with that is overwhelming. And that was one point. The second thing is you mentioned our kids. I think those of you with kids can relate. Like teaching your kids to be selfless and to help those in need and to think of others as better than themselves. There are so many powerful lessons there. So I love that. I love that verse and I would agree completely. And you know, God's word is so clear to me on where you're blessed financially. There's a purpose behind it. It's not to inherit more things here on this earth. It's really to be generous. And I think that is we'd be remiss if all we talked about was budgeting and being tight with your money and getting out of debt. I think this needs to be talked about as well.
I think one key message here is like money's not your enemy. The enemy is disunity in your finances. To me, that's the enemy.
Agree.
One of you is doing what they want, the other one's doing, or there's too much control from one person over the other. Like that's,
or you're not unified at all. You literally have two completely separate everything.
And so unity in your finances, it builds trust, security. There's shared purpose. You have a vision, a financial vision for your future and for your marriage. You can be generous together, and that's something I would even challenge people listening. I've heard where one partner wants to be generous, the other one won't allow it. I mean, that just, what a horrible thought. So unifying in that, like you and I will pray together and be like, oh, let's ask God, where can we give if an opportunity?
Totally.
And we give regularly, different ministries and missions and things like that, whatever we feel led by the Spirit. But then on top of that, it's like, God, we want to be more generous this month. Is there any... Just open our eyes, show us, lead us to an opportunity. And it is the coolest thing. Like it literally happens.
I'm glad you're talking about this because it works like every time.
It's crazy. Yeah.
There have even been wild stories maybe to share on that where we felt like, oh, I really want to give like one big gift to somebody. And we'll go out to eat with the kids and the server, I don't know what it is, but
Mm.
there's just something there that's, I'm sure a
Oh,
lot
I
of you
get
listening
chills
can
thinking of
relate.
those
Like there have
experiences.
been these times where you can just sense that they're in a dark place or they're not good in their life right now. And to
Oh,
just be able to give a massive tip is such an
gosh.
incredible, freeing, joyful. And to your point,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be kind of harsh here for a minute. Like, what if one person is shutting that down? I
Oh,
cannot even imagine that
oh,
happening in a marriage. And I know it does,
it does.
but man, you got to trust your spouse that if
Mm-hmm.
they feel convicted in their spirit to be generous, that you do not rob that. You lean
Mm-hmm.
into it, whether it's with your kids, you
Yep.
teach them. Anyway,
Yeah, that's so true.
that's a great point.
Yeah.
There's got to be unity too.
And if one of you doesn't have a heart of generosity, you gotta be praying. And that's even like mentioned as a spiritual gift, the
Yeah.
gift of generosity. So maybe one of you has it. The other one needs to just allow your partner to
Surrender
be
that
who
to the
they are
Lord.
and join in with them on their
Yeah.
gifting. It's the same as any other gifting.
Yeah.
You're going to be different. So you might have a different level of desire to be generous, but
Mm-hmm.
you need to support your partner and where they're
Mm-hmm.
coming from, as long as it's led by the Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not led by the Spirit and you're trying to give tons of money that you don't have, and what God would want for you right now is to get out of debt and to do this and that, and He wants you to
Yeah.
give this amount,
It
there's a
could,
wisdom in it.
extreme
That's
cases.
where
Yeah.
taking it to God in prayer and really leaning into the Spirit and what He's saying is key, but don't hinder your partner or your marriage from
Yeah.
doing what God's calling you to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
Well, I think like a quick recap, like with everything you're saying, I like that the word shared kind of
Mm-hmm.
comes in my mind. You use that a couple times, like shared vision, shared generosity, shared conviction from the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the goal, at least. I'm not saying that that needs to be day
Mm-hmm.
one, but I also think we talked a lot about your plan, your shared plan for getting out of debt, sharing of your budget and your
Mm-hmm.
finances. Like that's the point. That is the takeaway for this
Mm-hmm.
episode is just like your communication, your conflict resolution, parenting your
Yeah.
children. Like that money is not left out of that equation. If you want to have a strong, thriving, healthy marriage, your
Mm-hmm.
finances get lumped into that as
Mm-hmm.
another category. I think maybe just to move to homework, and I'll let you comment on this too. You summarized it really well, like right at the beginning of the episode. Talk about your finances. Number one, if you never have, that
Mm-hmm.
is your homework. Get out your apps, your bank accounts. I don't care.
Credit card
Print it
statement.
out.
Yeah.
Whatever visibility you need to get into the weeds of your finances, you all have to make time. Set aside several
Mm-hmm.
hours if you've never talked about this before and
Yep.
comb through all of it. Where's all your debt?
Mm-hmm.
And that brings me to the next point is tackle the debt first. I think you got to
Yeah.
have a plan to get out of debt. I think then beyond that
Mm-hmm.
would be moving forward. And so kind of the homework is to talk about all these things
Yeah.
moving forward. Like have a financial plan. What is your roadmap? Throw out some big
Mm-hmm.
lofty ideas and dreams in there too.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think you kind of said it well there a minute ago, like the generosity piece
Yep.
is a discussion topic there too.
Yeah, pray and invite God into all of this. And then for people who maybe you're not in debt, you've got some extra cash, like pray about what do you actually want to do with that? Like it's not going to look the same for everyone, so
Totally.
we're not going to tell you what to do.
Right.
But we will say be unified, invite God in, make a plan. And I think there can be different stages of this. It's looked different for us 15 years ago than it does now.
Right. Right.
But we're still planning and we're still dreaming and we're still
Talking about it.
Yeah, talking about it. So I don't know. And you mentioned dig in. You got to look at the details and you got to be honest with yourself and you got to make a plan. And that might mean changing some things temporarily till you can get out of where you're at if it's not a good place. So.
Yeah. And as you're going through, like call it homework, but as you're going through this, like it's not a one-time thing. This is a regular conversation. I think you just hit on that.
Yeah.
Like we've had this conversation regularly throughout our entire marriage, but I almost want to say have fun with it, but maybe fun's not the right word, but just lean into it.
Yeah.
Like lean into it. Make talking about money, regardless of what stage you're at, like Jamie said, but make discussions about money and a financial plan part of your rhythm as a couple. Don't dread it. Don't fight about it. Don't allow it to become a statistic. Like be committed. Maybe we'll end on that note. Like you all as a couple, be committed that you're not going to add to the statistic where like money's a top stressor for us.
Yep.
Money's the source of all of our conflict. Money's the likely source of why we're going to get divorced. Get rid of that mindset and instead view it as like, no, we're going to work through our challenges together. We're going to come out better on the other side. Or back to the points, like if you're not in that situation, how are we going to live radically generous.
Mm-hmm. And real quick, if you are fighting about it, figure out what it's really about.
Yeah.
Dig in, be curious, go back to that whole
the iceberg.
Yeah. What is this about? What's underneath? And then make a plan to deal with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, reach out to us. We'd love to get your feedbacks, comments, thoughts. Be sure to subscribe so you catch the next episode. But thanks for hanging with us today. Have a great week.